Back with another episode of the Randy Wilson Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Wilson, and today we have a phenomenal guest, the host of On the Mic with Mike Keene himself. You can find him on ESPN Radio 106.1 every Monday through Friday from 5 to 7. And he will bring you everything within the region as it pertains to the business arena. And sometimes he'll even bring in some other stuff. He's quite entertaining. He's a phenomenal guy that I'm hopeful my guests will get to know. Some of you are already familiar with him. But before we get in talking to Mike, remember you can find his podcast everywhere podcasts are played. I'm going to encourage you to go over to YouTube so you can see the brother. And if you're going to listen to it, you can go to randywilsonpodcast.com. That's mine. Yes, you can go to Spotify and all those other places, Apple, Google as well. But we are trying to support our own. So go to randywilsonpodcast.com, learn more about the show. And again, we're sitting down today with Mike Keene. What's going on, Mike?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
Happy to have you.
It's a little different for me.
I know.
Being on this side.
I know. But, the thing I'm going to do to make it really easy for you is that I did not feel necessarily come with a script.
We talked.
We just talking. And this is really like what the essence of podding is about. Like, I mean, people are accustomed to me provide an interview format, which, of course, I'm going to ask you some questions. But I think it's going to be more of a dialogue. And quite frankly, this is going to be an interesting show. This is the last show before I introduce my new co-host.
There you go. Things are always changing.
Things are changing. Titletown is on the move.
That's for sure.
Titletown is on the move. So, Mike, man, what's been going on? You said today's kind of a relaxed day.
So Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays I'm in studio, and it's a business show, but I always say it's business-ish.
Yeah.
It's business, the things we always do. The foundation of the program and my business as a whole is business can help society be better. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do, and we talk to every day, whether that's political people, whether that are entertainers, business people, young kids, it does not matter. Mm-hmm. I don't work for the radio station. My business is, I'm a salesman dressed up as a radio talk show host because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. I have customers, I have clients and supporters who allow me to talk to people. In the last 2 years, we've donated close to 50,000 minutes of free airtime to nonprofits and business to just come and tell their story.
Wow.
I'm on radio, but I don't charge people to come and tell their story. We have sponsors and advertisers who do that.
Yeah, something that I definitely looking forward to continue to learn from you. By the way, if you're listening to the show and you're listening to Mike Keene today, he's a catalyst out here for knowing how to get those sponsors. And we're accepting sponsorships as well, too, because we're talking to the business community.
All right, so I always talk to businesses, nonprofits scare business people because you don't get anything. What you get from a nonprofit is it makes me feel good. I talk to nonprofits and say, if you do not find a business that loves you, you're always going to be out shaking, the kettle for a dime or two, mm-hmm. as opposed to making partnerships. My dad would always say, and I say it now, I say to people, some people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. I take it a step further. It's not who you know, it's who knows you.
I've heard you say that a few times.
When you walk in the room,
mm-hmm.
it says, okay, that's the person I need to talk to. Because when I come to you, I say, who are you trying to reach that I can help you get there?
Mm-hmm.
When we look at as black men, as minorities, every generation should not have to start at the 2-yard line.
No.
If I've gotten the ball halfway down the field to the 50, you just take it and run. I have an obligation to help you get to where you need to be.
Mike, I might need you to put on a quick little coaching session here, okay? So, like, when you look at my platform, which you've been familiar in seeing probably over the past 5 years, pretty much since I started it, and you've seen an array of guests.
Yes.
Who do you think that I should be, because it's very broad.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think, like, what are the type of businesses, I guess, that you think that should like what I got going on?
There are businesses, so now in the I guess the ecosystem, they're the B corporations, so the B Corps.
Yeah.
They're the ones who believe that there's more to being in business than making money. When you look at that right there, those are the kind of guests that you bring. You're bringing more in-depth conversations than me. Mm-hmm. I'm churning them out every day 15 minutes, 20 minutes just talking to an array of people. You're sitting down with people for in-depth conversations. So those are going to be businesses who are in a serious side, who want to get to thought leaders, people who want to be aligned. It's about brand alignment. I wear my name on everything because I have to represent not just me, but the sponsors and advertisers, the people who allow me to do this and what I do. So for you, I'd say you're known in the community. You just have to go to the people and ask. It's kind of difficult because you're saying, hey, would you support me?
Yeah.
You know, you're asking people to give you money.
Yeah. I don't have a problem asking people to give me money. I'm just more accustomed to asking people to give money toward causes.
Exactly. Well, this is the cause. And your cause is you are informing, entertaining, and educating people about what's happening today.
Yeah.
And that,
in more depth.
Right.
You're doing the same thing, shorter minutes. You're doing more volume, I guess, as far as...
Right, because I look at, when you see a mistake in a movie or a documentary, it's glaring. Because they had time to fix that. You're a person who does a podcast once a week or every 2 weeks. They should not have mistakes in it. When you look at the news, you see people say things in the news they shouldn't. When you see live TV and you're seeing the closed caption, it comes up wrong. They're doing it in real time.
Yeah.
I am talking to 3 or 4 people every day. There's no time to edit that and do a whole bunch of things to get ready for the next day. So for you, you're talking to a whole different category of people.
Got it.
People who are it's the upper echelon people. There's only 18 people in Richmond. That's it. And when you get to know them and they know you, all of a sudden you have to set your brand out about, there's 1 million podcasts that are out there.
Yeah.
What makes yours different? You're the Randy Wilson podcast. Now, you don't want to come across that way, but in reality, you have to because it sets you apart. Look at the people that I have. It's everyone from entertainers to political people, staples in the community, captains of industry, and on top of that, you got street cred too, which makes it different because you can go from Southside Plaza to Short Pump.
Yo, we clipping that. Is that not a commercial ad? Damn, man. I love that endorsement, man.
The first time I saw that was when I met Kelly Lemon.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and like, who is this person? You see her in the South Side. Then you see her in Short Pump, deep in Mosley. You know, it's all around. Everyone does not have that gift. People want, you may be strong over here. But then when you go to a different part of town, you have to have your brand and your podcast be something that people want to be attached to.
I didn't realize that I was going to end up being the recipient of a counseling session, but I like this. No, I mean that because God, this is gonna be a good episode because you know the thing that's probably the most frustrating, and we talked about this before. We talked about it last time we talked, is that I get to a certain time of day where I don't want to do any more work.
Yes. And it's bad. You know what I said not too long ago?
That's the difference between probably where I could be. I don't want to say where I need to be, but could be. I don't know where I need to be yet. Yeah, I need to be where the money's at.
Right. And I tell you, when you see me somewhere,
the money's there.
Yes.
Mike's not coming out basically after a certain time of the evening for no reason.
I'm coming home. I'm at home at 4 o'clock. When you see me at something in the evening, there's a reason that I'm there. I'll be 65 in December. I'm not on that 5-year plan. If I came to Richmond, when I was in my mid-50s. If I came here in 40s, it'd be a whole different.
You're 65? Okay, so what's the future of Mike King Biz then?
I don't know.
Are you looking at, because you got Philip Noel and some other, I don't know if my last guest, Will Melton, is on your,
That's my guy.
He's on your platform.
Right. Okay, so
are you grooming, are you going to build your brand to groom other people to work under your brand?
I saw a guy, shout out to my man, Bo Jackson.
You mean Bo Jackson?
Not
Bo Jackson.
Not the Tappahannock Bo Jackson.
Okay, I don't know.
So the Tappahannock Bo Jackson, where he works at Radio 1.
Okay.
And he taught me the media business when I worked at CW. When I came to Richmond, I worked for the Henrico Citizen. I stayed there about a year, started working at CW. When I was at CW, they had this lime green PT Cruiser that with the superhero shows on the side. I never watched those shows because I'm old. My kids are watching those shows. My sons are 42 and 40. I'm watching 60 Minutes. I don't know those shows, Christmas Tree Hill, the WB. Yeah. I don't know that stuff. So I started riding around in the PT Cruiser because one, it had a gas card, and two, it had Easy Pass. I'm from Philly. Well, you give us a freebie? Yo, I'm on it. I became Mike from CW. Getting to know people, getting to know people, giving people things. So when I started my business, I never thought I'd be in radio. That's crazy. And to end up, before I was on ESPN, I was on conservative radio. I learned how to be on the radio from the conservatives. I wanted to sort of be the liberal Rush Limbaugh. That didn't work. But I knew business. My parents was always like, who can you help get to the next generation? When I meet Philip Noel, Phil's getting ready, he's on his way to Charlotte. I'm like, yo, man, give Richmond a shot.
He told me this story.
Give Richmond a shot. Hang with me. And then all of a sudden, I see him, he's up there, moderating the panel. I told you. I told you had this thing. I go with the whole, Jay-Z line, how many billionaires come from Ho's crib?
Yeah.
That's what I look at. The people who come from working with me, we get Will Melton, Dean Francis, Adriana Duarte, Anna Soden.
I don't know Adriana, but she requested me, so I don't know her personally. We're connected now on social media. And I seen her over there, so that's connected.
She's the hottest person out there on the Spanish side.
Yeah.
So, shout out to my man Kelvin Oliver. KO said, "Hey, this loan officer is coming into town. Could you introduce her to some people?" Sure, she can get into the mix.
You like how he dropped that Hove clip though.
That's what it comes down to. He said, "Me, Ye, and Ree."
Yeah.
Brian. One. So technically we got 4.
Yeah.
I look at that and say, okay, it's power in numbers. I don't have to be the biggest dog.
Will's I don't know Adriana, but I can only assume like Will Melton is a super intelligent guy. He was on last week.
I know, I saw him, and it's crazy. He was the guy who built my website. When he told me about America's healthiest city, all I know him as a techie. Then he's talking about Richmond Water. I call him the RV thought leader. That's Will Melton. And now I kick it with people, and I'm doing a lot with them. And over the course of time, they're doing their thing, and we pass. We hit up in passing. I see what they're doing, and I go back to the crib. I look at them because my lawyer is Khalil Perrine. He's 31 years old. He's a brother.
Yeah. Will said on the show that you did not realize I don't want to mess up what he said. What I took away from was that, I think you know how well you're known. You know that. But maybe you're making a bigger impact than you even know.
Because I'm not. So I've been
That's
married,
the way I interpreted it.
I've been married
it might have been wrong.
44 years.
God bless your wife.
Yeah, that's what she says.
Dang.
So I was always the guy. My sister's a preacher. All my cousins are preachers.
Can she keep up with you in communication?
She's better. I turned into my dad recently. I was always the guy standing in the back. I was good.
Okay.
I was guy moving the parts around. But when I was launching this business, I had a person, and she couldn't make it a lot of times. So next thing you know, I can't make it. So now I got to do some things. And the person said to me, if you want to do this, you got to get out there. And it's uncomfortable. When I deal with Chloe and her daughter, she's my people person mentor. About what happens, I see people, I don't know them. I sit in the car and figure, how long do I have to be here before I can leave? I just got him talk to a couple people. I wear my name. That way people come up to me, hey, you're Mike King. Yeah, I can take it from there. And also I align myself with brands that make a difference. It's the reason why I sponsor VCU basketball. It's the #1 brand in the state for sports.
So what does your sponsorship do? Well, is it because of ESPN?
No. So here, there's time.
Can I get some tickets?
Yeah. But now the thing is, I'm going to send you this thing where a guy talks about the power of tickets and sponsorships.
Okay.
He talks about when he had...
You probably get asked that all the time, don't you?
And because I look at that and say, you're in the room.
Yeah.
If you're not in the room where the deals are being made, you're looking like a weirdo looking in the window. This way is you're in there and you see the people who run Town Bank and they get to know you. So that when I call you and hit you up, it's like I tell people, if Olivia Pope and the Equalizer had a baby, it'd be me. I can't give you the advertising campaign for that way. If you wanted that, you'd go spend... The lawyers on TV are spending $60,000 a month for that advertising. If you ain't got that, I can't help you, because the only thing I can give you is between 5 and 7 a.m., not p.m., because they ain't getting rid of real sports for me. But my question is, who are you trying to reach? Because you know what? Pretty much they're in my phone. They're in my phone, and they'll take the call. Because I have something, you have something that they want. There's a time you had to chase people down to come on your podcast. Now you got to be like, nah, I got to look at them. Nope, you don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit. But you have the success. You got longevity. People come and go, and they're a flash in the pan. But from the business standpoint, from how you're perceived in the market, you're just going to have to go to people, and you don't mind asking for money from people for other things. Yeah. Now it's turned into this is a business. My wife is like, you got a job that you pay them at the end of the week? She's like, Mike, what happened? Something happened. You go to work and somebody pays you at them, but no, because I created my own lane and there's nobody in it.
No, that's the key. That's the key.
And there's nobody in yours. I remember the first time I saw you. There's
a lot of podcasts, though.
Yeah. And now people wonder if it's a podcast. We're like, no, I got a radio show. You get yours from the business standpoint. You get yours on the back end, where people put theirs. Mine is on the opposite side, on the front end. The first person I saw you interview was Art Espy's wife. She ran the Civil War Museum.
Oh, yeah. She's now in Williamsburg. Dang, I know you're talking about.
Right, so I meet him. He goes, hey, my wife is on your show. Who's your wife, sir? And then all of a sudden, there's things that I get from people that I learned. I learned from Art Espy. Being from Philly, we always talk about hustling.
That was the first show you saw? That's interesting. That's way back.
That's a long time. It was like you were in a house with some stairs behind you.
I was doing that show with Tiffany Jana.
That's right.
Shout out Tiffany Jana, because she's the one that really put that show together. She put together about 6 episodes we collaborated on, and it kind of, Bill Valentine was in that group. Some different folks in that group. It gave me an opportunity to kind of just reevaluate, stretch some things. So Bill Martin was one of the first people who came to the state. I was down in Chester. He was one of the first people who came. I remember that show. And I remember that space.
When he looked at it, he was just like, that's right. Because the lady was out there telling us about
the pigs.
With the pigs. She bought a pig and didn't realize, she thought it was a miniature pig.
Yeah, she got
but the pig,
full pig.
The pig just kept growing. But what you look at is brand alignment. It's VCU basketball. It is the American Heart Association. When you're in the room with folks like that, it takes your brand and your podcast to another level. So when you go to them, it's an understanding. It's not just for me. It's like, how can we do this to help the community get better?
The good thing about radio, though, is that particularly in comparison to TV and a lot of things, like, regardless of your age, you're not going to lose your voice.
You're not, but radio is for...
Your voice value is going to sustain. So you could do this as long as you want to do it.
Right, but the difference is those people who are in the radio that you hear, the radio station is paying them. Mine is a constant finding, keeping, and holding on to sponsors and advertisers.
But I mean, as you're building your brand,
it gets easier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not gonna. So like, if I don't see this having to stop for you just because you're 65.
It's not, but the building of people. So I put on events, and I showcase my friends. So we were down in Petersburg, and I'm telling people now, Petersburg is the place to go. And it's not just because of the casino. The casino people came to me and said, hey, will you help us get this passed?
I saw something on the internet last night down there. It was a rooftop something. I just looked at.
That is the Hotel Petersburg.
Is that new?
Yeah, brand new.
Brand new? Mm-hmm. Is it nice?
Yes.
You been in it?
Mm-hmm. And you know what it is? It's run by the people who run Quirk. Paul Cooper and those guys.
Okay.
And so when you look at that, it's not just the casino that's doing big things in Petersburg. It's also this pharma cluster, which is going to be big.
The what?
Pharma cluster. And what that is during the pandemic, they realized that the drugs we couldn't get the drugs because they were made overseas. And they realized that was a problem. Mm-hmm. So the drugs in this country, almost 70, 80% of the drugs are going to be made in Petersburg.
And now listen, for all you... I don't want to call you.
Yes.
I'm not even going to go to the arcade. Listen, this is not for you.
This is not for you. This is cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes medication.
Petersburg got all the drugs, though.
They do. Now they're getting the legit ones.
That's good.
That right there, that whole infrastructure.
That's going to be crazy, Mike.
The amount of money.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. That's scary.
It is.
It's scary when you add on top of the casino. That's all the reasons in regard to why Richmond couldn't get the casino, because they felt like it would entertain other things in the community
it does.
Now you bring drugs to Petersburg on top of the drugs that's there with the casino. What's that going to be?
Well, the one thing is, I think
we don't want anything to mess up our business.
We don't want anything. The funny part about it is, of all the places, it's like when Lego came to Chesterfield. Like, you wonder, how did they pick? Mm-hmm. They pick Chesterfield. It's the same thing when they look at all the localities in the country. They decide that they're going to do that. Their insulin shots are talking at $650. Now they're like, hey, we can make it here for $38. So when you look at all of the businesses that are going to spring up to support all of that, that's the place to be. Mm-hmm. If the casino is a great deal for Richmond, how come it ain't in Chesterfield or Henrico? Because it wasn't a great deal. $60,000 in Dinwiddie.
I almost think it would have been a better deal for Henrico.
Henrico doesn't. When you talk to them on economic, they don't want that.
You don't think it'd be a good deal for Short Pump?
No. Because you know what happened? So when we're talking to the economic development people, they're like, all of the bad things we hear about Henrico, whenever you hear something bad, you think it happened on the East End.
Yeah.
But you know what they tell me? The bills are paid on the East End of Henrico. Short Pump is just window dressing and shit. That's the glitz and glamour. That's Short Pump Mall. When you look at the big companies, where are they at?
Yeah, like Nabisco and all that.
On the East End. They're paying the bills. So when they look at that, they're like, this is what happens when you have high-speed internet access coming in. Henrico's a place. I tell people, Richmond right now, for black business, for business period, it's the place to be. Mayor Stoney can walk out now. It's like, you see what I left you guys? Mm-hmm. I came here in 2014. It's changed a lot.
Let's pivot on that. That's a good point. We just got through with the mayor election, obviously. Dr. Danny Avula has been elected as he's mayor-elect. Stoney's going out. How do you feel about the past 8 years, and what are you optimistic about in the next 4 years?
So, maybe around 20 or 21, I interviewed the mayor, and I asked him, what will you want history to say about LeVar Stoney 100 years from now? That I had an administration of consequence, that I made a difference. Well, and I said to him then, Mr. Mayor, when you took the statues down, that is what's going to be remembered. It changed Richmond at that point. Because coming from up north, you hear the Capital Confederacy, all of those things that are negative. Then you start looking at the wins. that happen. You get CoStar, you get all of those companies that are coming. Richmond starts popping up on all the lists. Top for black business, all those things. Mayor Stoney can walk out with an infrastructure pretty much. Can it be better? Yes. But look at the wins.
And a transition plan for the mayor-elect as well.
And that's what it is. And he comes in, when he talks about moving to Churchill and seeing a revitalization of the city, I asked him, you were the COVID czar. Everybody was liking, now all of a sudden you want to run for mayor, and now all of a sudden you have to defend that, and you have to be the person with the vision. And I think it's a good plan that he has. The difference may be that the money center. So I just came back from Philly, and you hear Philly's this, Philly's that. Where you get to the center city part of town, it's a big change. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go far for it to still look like the beat down Philly that I left 15, 20 years ago. That part has not changed. So the wealth has not made it past a few blocks. When we look at this town right here, I asked someone years ago, what's the area that you thought would never be anything? The man who had been selling commercial real estate for 40 years, he said, Scott's Addition. He said, I never thought Scott's Addition would be anything.
Yeah.
Hottest place in town.
Transitioning now. Well, I like that too, Casey. I like that mayor piece there. I think that's pretty good for some things we got coming up that you'll see. Were you surprised by the outcome?
No, I think I always ask people when they come on, what's the draw to run for office? You're like, okay, you want to be a public servant, but what it takes to get there can be brutal.
Yeah.
And they say the desire to help and serve. Okay.
There's a lot of ways you can help and serve.
Right. Without going
and make more money doing so.
And not take the heat of calling all kind of names.
Yeah.
When he started with name recognition. That's what we're looking at. It's the power of people knowing who you are. That's where we're at with the presidential election. People know, you get young, older people don't realize the street cred that Donald Trump had with black men, young black people in the 90s.
Yeah.
He's been around, he's been in media that long.
Yeah.
It makes it hard. If you use the media right, you can tell people who you are and you can define how people see you.
Yeah.
Dr. Danny, he had that.
Yeah.
Because he was always on TV.
Yeah.
Doing that. The other ones were great people, but they had to be on TV. They had to get in front of people, and they weren't able to do it enough.
The things that Dr. Avula was on TV for shed a more positive light on his name and recognition versus, Andreas Addison is a city council representative for the past 8 years. A lot of people, I think, in this last election, I don't care if it was local, state, or national. They're tired of what people who've been in their places for a long time. They want to see change and difference. And so with Andreas being in his position for 8 years, people are going to be accustomed to him in the news for what it's been for the past 8 years. It's not nothing different. It's not nothing new. And it's also the most elite district in the city, right?
Oh, it is.
So it's like, that's not as much of a story. Michelle Mosby has historically been in the news. She's been out of the media, out of the news for a while because she hasn't been in city office. I guess I just leave it at that. I mean, she was a president of city council for the time that she was in there. I think she was able to kind of connect the female story with Kamala, but we see that really wasn't resonating with people. Well, I thought it would resonate with people more, but
I did too.
But it didn't. And the thing I thought that Harrison Rodet could have done more. I think he should have played the Tim Kaine piece. Like, he worked in Tim Kaine's office. Granted, it was a while ago, and it may have not been in a strong capacity, but I think Richmond likes Tim Kaine, and I think if you can come up as a new Tim Kaine type image, I think people would support that. I think he could have used Tim Kaine stuff more with his campaign.
I think that people knowing who he was. Like, I didn't know his story. I didn't put together that he was the bridging Virginia guy.
I didn't either until he came on the show, and then the connection with NBL.
Right, and so at that point, you have to. I was in the Army for a long time, and this is what the deal is. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you what I told you. Mm-hmm. That's what has to happen.
Say that again. I'm going to tell you what I'm
going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you what I told you.
Okay.
It's the reason why Khaled is saying the same thing. We the best. Over and over and over. When you hear his name.
Y'all didn't know Mike had bars, did
no.
you? Y'all didn't know.
I was there to be.
Mike is on.
I was there to birth the hip hop. Okay, and one of the reasons that we were like this, a lot of times when we lived places, we weren't around black radio. So I didn't really know Tom Joyner and Steve, the black morning shows.
Yeah.
So we watched 106 in Park every day. Mm-hmm. No matter what the age was, that's how we saw what was happening in Black America.
I think your personality, though, clearly, and your style, your swag, it resonates with people. So people don't even. I wouldn't assume. I don't know if I ever thought about what your age was. Mm-mm. I don't know if I've even thought. I don't know if I think about age with you. Like you said, you're 65. I can now say that I've had guests as young as 11 years old up to 65. I did not know you were 65.
When I'm there talking,
but 65 is no longer 65.
No, but it is. I don't care what they say. Yo, I don't care. It feels it. It feels every inch of it. But the thing is, my parents was always, so I tell people, I grew up privileged. I did. My dad had been an orphan, and I was the only kid for almost 14 years. Everything my parents gave me came with a price because my dad had been an orphan and he grew up poor and I didn't, and he didn't like me because I'm like, that's on you. Mm-hmm. You the one gave me this. So I went to private school until I was in the 6th grade.
In Philly? Mm-hmm. Charter school?
No, this was a school. It was a Lutheran school.
Charter schools are public in Philly, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. There's a lot of charter schools up there.
Yeah, then they had the Montessori schools, you know. Mm-hmm. It's so they moved about from, say, Richmond to Mosley. Mm-hmm. But it was back in the day where there wasn't a lot of things in between.
Yeah.
So when I graduated from high school, 900 people graduated with me, and 890 were white. Wow. There were 4 of us who were black. And then they sent me to Lincoln.
You know, I can see what you learned in that experience. You learned how to diversify.
How to do it. Yes. Sure. And how to bring people together. It doesn't matter. And I was in the Army for a long time. People have a lot of things in common.
Did you deal with prejudice?
All the time.
A lot? Mm-hmm. Did it bother you? Did you have tough skin in that age? In years? You did?
Because my parents didn't play that. They're like, don't bring that in here.
Yeah.
I don't care what people say. Yeah. I don't care. And it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I'm going back home.
Yeah.
I was a salesman, but I wasn't that guy. I was strategic in the stuff I do. Because I don't have to deal. Why do I keep? If you see and notice, you be around the studio, a bunch of the crew rolls through. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Will, Melton, Dean, Philip, people just come through, and we do things so that everybody can win. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets theirs. Mm-hmm. I take Philip, and all I gotta do is take him into the room. It's my man Philip Noel. There you go.
Philip was very successful working with the councilwoman Robertson in her recent election. That was an interesting election, wasn't it? Well,
yes.
Kind of interesting. I don't know if it was interesting. I mean, the controversy and the rhetoric, I guess, that came with Tavares Floyd was interesting. He was actually on, I do another show called 804 The Culture, and he was on that show. And so my parents would always be like, you got an obligation to help people because of what we've given you. You can go to places other people can't. Yeah.
So if I'm going to the Heart Ball, I became a sponsor for the Heart Ball. And I went to Dean Francis. I'm like, yo, man, you want to get down on this with me? Yeah, we split the cost.
By the way, if y'all don't know Dean Francis, go check him out. God, he's getting this ERC money. Is that what it's called?
Yes, we are.
He's getting money for people. Like, my gosh, if he hasn't blown up on LinkedIn.
And he totally is. I mean, when I met him, he said to me, I want people sort of to know what I'm doing. I'm like, come on, man, let's rock and roll.
I was actually surprised that he did some work with, I guess I'm a little surprised, but because I think he might have did a LinkedIn locksmith session with Rob Youngblood, because Rob had told me that on a recent episode. And I would just assume that Dean never had a problem with getting out and communicating and talking, but it sounds like that was a journey for him.
So So Dean, when we go places, Dean says, we both are kind of like introverted, but we got to go get this money.
Mm-hmm.
So his son says, we both need a wingman, because we both standing in the corner like, all right, who's going to make this move? And we go there and we start talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do the hardball, I have 12 seats at the hardball. My 7 are black. Because it's not just that. It is, I want people to be in the room for the most exclusive event in the city. Dean couldn't go. He had to end up going to Paris. Will Melton goes. So it's Will and Courtney, and that's the crew at the hardball. So it makes it easy to do business. There's power in numbers. I say with the people you have on, there's a wide array of type people who come on the program.
Yeah. Mike, where did you meet your wife at?
Fort Riley, Kansas.
Y'all both in the military?
Yeah, it was different.
What was different?
I was working, and we were medics, and so she came. A friend of hers came before. She said, "Hey, my friend's from New York. You got to meet her." And I'm like, "All right, that's cool." So she comes like 2 months later. Everything's good. We're working in the hospital. Her friend came pregnant from their last duty station, and she's walking around like this. And so my girlfriend started saying to me, "Can we go to Denny's? I mean, at 11 at night?" And I looked at her. I'm like, "You're not. You can't be." So I'm like, "Oh, man." I'm like, "Oh, you got to call my mom and tell her. My mama come from Philly to Kansas and smoked me. I ain't married." So next thing you know, the Army sent me to Alaska.
Oh, God.
And so right before then, we moved into this trailer. Me and her friend went down and got this trailer from this man who looked like Boss Hogg. And they didn't ask a bunch of questions. We're 2 military people. Well, he comes back 2 days later. I'm in there with 2 pregnant women. And he's looking like, what kind of shenanigans going on?
You had both of them pregnant?
No, the one was pregnant when she got there.
I was about to say.
I only took care of one.
Okay, I'm just making sure, Mike. I'm just making sure.
I was a young man, but I wasn't wilding like that.
I didn't know. I mean, you know.
So I left them. And
I don't know what young Mike out here doing. We just had to make sure. That was an interesting story. I was making sure I didn't get confused.
It gets worse. It gets worse. So next thing you know, I leave them, and I go to Alaska. And my son is born in Alaska. He's born in Kansas. I come back. So I said to her when I'm in Alaska, "Yo, when you go home to New York, take our son down to Philly so my mom could meet him." So she gets on a Greyhound from New York, goes to Philly. My mother's standing on the step. "Mrs. King?" "Yeah. How you doing? This is your grandson." Next thing you know, he meets my mother. I come back. I get my money from the Army. I said to her, "Hey, you want to get married when I get back?" "Sure." I got my money. We bought a car. I bought a You probably don't remember Starsky and Hutch. No, you don't. Sorry, you're not old enough. Starsky and Hutch, they had this really cool car, and everybody wanted it. And I got this car. And so, but I didn't have enough money or credit, so I had needed her. So it's me, her, and a baby, and it was this 2-seater. And they're walking out, and I'm like saying to the sales rep, "Yo, hold up, man. Come on, girl. Let's go ahead and sign this paper so we can get this car." That was at 10. We went downtown and got married at this church that she found. It was me, her, and a baby. She had on these Willie Nelson jeans. I had on just regular. And the preacher says, "How you doing?" I'm Mike. "This is Donna." He says, "You guys got any witnesses?"
Did Willie Nelson have a brand of jeans?
Oh yeah, he did, man.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, it was
Willie Nelson jeans. That's
it was
a new
hot
one.
back in the day.
I didn't know Willie Nelson had jeans.
Willie Nelson been cool a long time.
I mean, I know he smoked pot. I didn't know he had a jean brand.
And he was doing that then in the 80s. And he said, "Y'all got witnesses?" We're like, "Nah." He went across the street to this barbershop and came back with 2 people. "What's up, man? How you doing?" I'm Mike. "This is Donna. Those are our witnesses." And I went to work that day at 4 o'clock.
Dang.
And that was it.
Take me back to Australia real quick. Eskimo, was it? How cold was it?
It was, but it's the best place I'd ever been.
Why?
Because it's natural. It's free. It's all.
Whoa! You said where did you say?
Alaska.
You said Alaska. Cold though.
It's cold.
Like how cold?
Yeah, like 40, 50 below. But you get used to it.
How do you get used to 40, 50 below?
How do you get used to 99 degrees down here in Virginia, 9 o'clock in the morning?
You can take, air conditioning. You can take your clothes off.
Yeah, but you know what? You just get used to it.
I don't think I could get used to 40 below. I don't think there's any way possible.
Well, you get climatized to it over a little bit of time. Now, the hard part is in the summertime when it's light all the time.
It's bright, bad for your eyes.
Yeah, you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning and the sun's up, and you got to make yourself go to sleep.
Man, I don't know if I could get used to that.
You get used to it.
Tough.
That was a cool place from when
you was in the military.
Yeah.
You was already trained to be all you can be. See, I'm just trying to.
No, you know what? I was because my father like I say to my grandkids, I can't do to you what I did to your dad because it's against the law.
Yeah.
What parents did to kids back in those days.
Yeah.
It's not these days now. We're not holding kids.
Yeah.
You ain't coming in the house bothering me.
No.
And all that. Don't be up in grown folks' business.
Yeah.
It's all
It's different.
It's different.
Different time. Mike, before you was married, Mike, still young Mike though. Who was your celebrity childhood crush? You a celebrity crush, young Mike.
Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Eartha Kitt.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
Okay, you know who that is?
Yeah, I know who that is.
Okay. So, and she was black.
She has sex appeal.
Yes, she did. And we didn't see that Catwoman had been white growing up.
I never knew that.
I know. So.
Yeah.
And so when they had a black Catwoman, that was it.
That was it?
It was a wrap.
Yeah. You still look at women. Who do you think is one of the sexiest women in Hollywood today? That your wife won't get mad. She ain't gonna listen. This is 40-some minutes into the interview, so she ain't gonna listen to you at this point.
She
done cut it off now.
She ain't listening to this crap with me, no way.
Who's the sexiest woman in Hollywood on TV?
The one from Scandal.
Who is that? I'll make sure I know this. Come on.
Scandal. What's her name?
I don't watch TV much though. Is
was
that a
with,
movie?
No, it's
a show.
It's a show. She was just with Girl for a Change.
Man.
See, that's the problem when you get old. You can't Kerry Washington.
Oh, I knew that. Kerry Washington. So she was actually in Richmond not too long ago.
Yeah, that's what she was.
Did you see her?
No, I didn't.
You didn't see her? I figured you'd be there. She was
I
here
don't
for
have
something.
juice like that.
She was here for something though.
Yeah, she was here with
something.
because Daughters with the movie.
Yeah, I like Kerry Washington. I wasn't expecting Kerry Washington, but I like Kerry Washington.
Yeah,
she got pretty involved in the politics and stuff now.
And that's so for me. That politics is my thing. Yeah. Even before, like more than sports, politics is politics is sport for me.
But you're an Eagles fan, right?
I'm from Philly.
God, y'all.
Do we need to say anything?
No, that's why I knew. I grew up liking the Eagles because of Randall Cunningham. So.
Okay, and where are you from?
I call North Carolina's home.
Okay, so I say this to people. Why would a person...
And my name's Randy.
Okay.
So it's like we had something
very
in common.
close.
Yeah.
I don't know why a person would be a Philadelphia sports fan if you're not from there. Or we are just set up for hurt and heartache and hearts get broken.
Yeah, my father-in-law's from my father-in-law from Philly. It's ridiculous. Like, they can be winning. They can be winning the game.
He's horrible.
He's still unhappy.
Exactly.
He's still stressed out because there's no confidence that they're going to sustain.
Because he knows.
the history.
He knows something bad is going to happen.
It's horrible. 76ers?
Okay.
You like them?
I'm from Philly.
I know.
I have no choice. My wife is from New York, and her brother loves the Yankees and all the New York
You can be from Philly
teams.
and not like the 76ers, I feel like.
There's nobody. But he loved the Dallas Cowboys. Like, there's nobody in Philly. There's some idiot walking around from Philly liking the Cowboys. No. It's not possible. Because the one thing is, we kind of got this complex. Like, New York has their thing. Yeah. D.C. is the government. I'm like, we're just trying to be better than Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, you know what? That's not good.
You like baseball?
Of course.
I hate baseball, but I feel like your generation is big baseball.
Oh, yeah, sure,
because it was a big deal for blacks to break into baseball back years before I really know.
And now blacks don't play baseball.
No.
And that's why shout out to Sherry Cerny down in Petersburg. She has this nonprofit called Kids on First. This white lady who is promoting black kids.
I heard something about that recently.
Yeah,
I think it was maybe a chamber event. Was that?
She's a sports writer for the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
And she is single-handedly promoting black kids playing baseball.
Yeah, I heard something about that. How important is like nutrition and diet for you? I mean, you're a big guy. But
Yeah, I know.
I'm asking because that's like it seems like it's more popular now to be vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free. It seems like all those things since COVID have become a more popular thing. You got all these Mediterranean spots opening up, the Cabas, like it's everywhere. So like, are you like fruit and veggie conscious? Are you lean
No,
meat?
I need to be.
No?
And that's the thing. My wife is like getting on me all the time because one of the things is.
So you don't care. You just eat what you want to eat.
No, I try not to, but it's. I need to be better because when I pulled my Achilles tendon, like 8 years ago, and that's when I started gaining weight because I slowed down. Before I told people it would rain, I could run through. I was always that guy, athletic and all that. When I pulled my tendon. Then all of a sudden I started slowing down and didn't move as much. And that's when you get older. Plus, I get up at the crack of dawn. I'm up at dark 30 waiting for the day to start.
I've been that person naturally. And just recently started sleeping with a CPAP and was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
I got that.
And recognized how, even though that's who I am as a person, I need to change that about me. And I need, like, if I can sleep in on a Saturday morning for an extra hour or two, I need to do it. I enjoy just laying there with the CPAP on.
You know what? All right, we should really talk about that with the whole CPAP thing. I fought that. Because I used to travel a lot, and I didn't use it. I thought it was ridiculous. So my grandkids saw me with it on there like, oh, man, look, Scamp got a gas mask.
Scamp, that's your name?
That's what they call me. He got a gas mask on.
What's Scamp mean? It's something Gramp.
It was Scampy. That's what they call me. They just shortened it. But then a lot of times brothers don't go, if you don't play the cards right, don't use that, you could die. Look at Reggie White. The same, that's what happened to him. He used to play for.
Yeah, he died. I didn't know. So what got me into it, and I guess this is good. This is educational for folks. What got me into it is my mom has sleep apnea, my uncle has sleep apnea. I listen to my brother snore. My wife tells me I'm not a horrible snorer, but I do occasionally. I think since I had COVID so many times, it's probably got worse. I started just waking up gasping. That's when I noticed it really after COVID.
And you would always have like this headache, like right at the back.
I started recently having headaches. And I said, okay, let me just do this sleep study. But man, with that mask on, I'm like 0.1, 0.4. I'm good with the mask on. I can even breathe better. It almost makes me wonder, like, dang, like, what's asthma? Like if I should have been doing this forever.
Right, but a lot of times is we don't want to go to the doctor. We don't want to go get checked.
I'm that person.
And all of
I'm
that.
But
I'm telling you, that one, you're the reason that you're waking up like that is you stop breathing.
Yeah.
And and then your body
laying
kicks
in the bed watching TV with your head like this is the worst thing.
And next thing you know, you're like, okay, so it is.
How long have you been doing the CPAP?
10 years, more than. So I went a good 2-3 years where I would use it. I didn't want to take it with me. I was embarrassed. And all of a sudden I started using it. Now I'm almost scared to not sleep without it because I know you could die.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be like, no, I don't want to go out like that.
Got to clean it every week.
Exactly. You're doing all kinds of things.
You clean yours with what do you
with
clean?
the distilled water.
Yeah, I use distilled water, but when you clean the mask, so you clean that on a weekly basis?
See, my wife does all that because she don't trust me.
Nice.
She don't trust me to do it. One of the things I think that we had together because she is a nurse, and that way,
nurturer, she could
for
take
me,
care of
I didn't.
You know,
I never caught COVID.
You know, you're gonna live longer because of her.
Well, it's the quality of life, sir.
My wife tells me all the time that men live longer. Married men live longer.
They do.
However, on the flip side, not so much for married women living longer.
Well, because they didn't call. It's a whole bunch. Like I always, for me, the shenanigans that I've done. This is the relaxed Mike. I was forever and ever. I was that dude who was. I was really regimented.
You ever drink? Do you drink now?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I never was that. I never took things to the extreme.
Got it.
Like I was in the Army for a long time. I was going to go get a tattoo.
Yeah.
I asked the guy, did it hurt? He said, yeah. I said, nah. I never did that. I always was the more laid back guy. So when people see me at something,
Yeah.
like they'll see me there.
Yeah.
I won't be there that whole time. You'll see me like people are like, yo, you everywhere. Yeah, for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or 10 minutes. I always get closer to the door so that way I can go ahead and.
Yeah.
But I'll always take people with me so that I can introduce you to people.
I noticed that I see a lot of folks. It's a married couple down in Petersburg going to Rob Youngblood's.
Yeah.
They're in the social digital media world. I saw you.
Kaylin.
Yeah, so I always see people post something. Thank you, Mike, for the introduction. Thank you, Mike, for the introduction. I do see that a lot with you.
Because what I'm doing is I need, as a black man, I need to give them the shine that they had. So with this casino, there was a young woman who was the campaign manager for it, Jessica Jefferson.
Yeah, I met her recently.
Okay, so now we were
actually, I told her that the last chamber event that I saw you that all these casinos are required to have gambling addiction therapists aligned with them. So whenever
you're in the room, and she's the one. So she was the connection with them because that was the whole Bruce Smith, and that was the team that brought the casino there. So I was not really hosting, but I was moderating this panel with economic development for the Chesterfield Chamber. And it was a room full of political people. They had, the state senators there and commissioners and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I said to them, and so we were down at Virginia State. And in the middle of it, so I got the microphone. You're not going to give me the microphone because I'm going to use it and do what I need to do. So they had talked about, let's not politicize this. There was an election, blah, blah, blah. So I said to them, hey, folks, there was an election down here, and something big happened for Petersburg. Oh, you guys are getting the casino. And I said, I want everybody to know that woman right there.
Yeah.
It was the quarterback of the team to make it happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead and stand up.
Yeah.
She's looking crazy at me like, Mike, I can't believe you did this to me.
But it's the best thing that could have happened to her.
You better believe it. And so, you know what I do? I do that thing, slide on back out the door, and I'm good.
Well, I'm definitely going to use Casey on this show, the endorsement he gave me. Mike Keene said that, this podcast is different because this is why it's different.
This is why it's different.
Yeah.
And it is something for you that you have to, the arrogance, like I said, I'm the voice of RVA business. I said it joking one time, and then next thing you know, people start saying it. And I'm like, you know Jimmy Budd, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, so Jimmy he said, somebody said to him, how do you become an influencer? He said, but you tell people you're an influencer. You tell people.
Yeah.
Next thing you know,
step into it.
That's what you're doing because everybody says it, but it's how you move that makes a difference. So when you call somebody, you say, yo, I need you to talk to this person.
Yeah.
You're sitting on a gold mine with this right here. Everybody wants a piece of it.
Yep, and we're going to get a piece of them pocket. We're going to get a piece of their wealth so we can do more shows, do more content, do similar things like you're doing, give back to the community, all those things. It takes money to make it, though.
It does.
It takes money.
But so Art Espy told me that you can only hustle to a certain point. At that, and now you're
because you only got so much time.
Yeah, and until you only got so much energy.
Yeah.
Because what are you gonna do? You can't hustle, putting your hands on everything. I'm from Philly.
Yeah.
That's what my father was like. I'm a hustler.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? When you stop the hustling,
Cassidy.
Exactly.
From Philly.
You heard what he's saying. That's the mentality that we bring.
Yeah.
But if you don't have processes in place, like yours runs a lot different than mine. When Philip came on the scene, he's a systems orderly guy too. Like I drive Philip crazy.
Really?
Yeah. I shoot from a hip a little bit more than Philip. Yeah, he's the guy making sure.
Philip's got a bright future.
I told him he can run for office.
He can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
He can do it, and I think the thing with Philip is that he's very I guess you could say in touch with his faith. He knows who he is. He knows who he is, and he can be who he is without making anyone else uncomfortable. And he's so comfortable in who he is that he don't even come across like super churchy.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. He comes across as a person who can move and navigate wherever you
When
want to
I
move.
met his father, I said, because I always like, Phil, you're the oldest young man in history. When I met his father, I'm like, sir, you got an old son.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's been old.
Yeah.
So what happens is you always wonder how. That's where when I meet people's parents or their kids, I always let them know how I see their kid out in the world.
Yeah.
Because parents always wonder, how did I do?
Yeah.
You don't want your kids out acting a fool.
Yeah, Phil's
so when I
parents did a good
run
job.
into somebody, I tell them, you did great on with your kid right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, definitely
Because
did.
when I see how I operate with them, so
Yeah. But Mike, we're gonna have to close up here. We run on. We had an hour already. I feel like we could do this. I know. I mean, a lot of people may hear me say that a lot. No, you can't talk to. I can talk. I like talking, obviously, and you like talking. But this was just a conversation. We could stop.
Because
we could keep going.
We could, but you got news. You're going to have a co-host. You sure? Now, hey, on the Mike King here, I break news. You sure you don't want to drop on the, I get on people, I'm like, yo, you always tell me you got breaking news, but nobody break it with me.
I know. I need to break it with you. I need to break it somewhere. I don't think now's the time to break it.
Okay.
I think I need to break it with the internet. But I will say this. She is she's a therapist, and
is she different?
she's gonna make for good conversation. Yeah, she's gonna make for good conversation. We're gonna do really like what you and I are doing right here. We're gonna talk. We're gonna bring in guests but they're gonna be intentional guests.
Okay, can I take a stab? I'm not even gonna say names. Does she have a unique style?
I know who you're thinking. It's not Mecca, but I tried to get Mecca one time.
Who is Mecca?
You don't know Mecca Williams? She's a therapist too.
She's
real short haircut. She's from Petersburg.
What does she go by? No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said it was Mecca. It's not Mecca. But Mecca would be a phenomenal co-host who has an amazing sense of style.
This person style is over the top, and it's a social worker.
It's not her.
Okay. All right.
No.
I took a shot, ladies and gentlemen. I went for it.
Style is over the top. What are you talking about?
Dope.
That's why dope so short. The dope schools. Yeah, not her. No, but not her though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when he breaks it, you guys got to come to the
Oh
program.
yeah. I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be a good situation. We're gonna talk about the thing, we're age-related peers, right? We're gonna talk about the everyday things that we talk about. I'm just gonna be coming from a male perspective, father perspective. She's coming from a female perspective, woman perspective. We are going to agree to disagree all day. Every day. And we'll bring in guests there as well, but it's kind of changed the format a little bit. And so when I have guests on the show, it's still going to be guests that matter. But if we don't have a guest, it doesn't mean that we don't have a good
So
subject.
if you don't have a guest, can you talk for 60 minutes or 30 minutes?
60 by myself?
Just into the microphone.
I've tried it.
Drop in nuggets.
That's hard. I've tried it. I've done it. But that's not easy. It's not easy at all.
If I have a guest and they don't show up, we ain't nothing happening today.
Yeah.
We gonna.
But we're gonna. But see, I feel like today, this hasn't been just so much an interview as it's been a conversation.
Right.
And it's because this is what you do, and it's what I do. So that's what
it makes it easy.
And that's what I enjoy. That's why I want to co-host, because I just want to have conversation sometimes without it having to be an interview.
Right, and that's so now when I've had you go on to Barry's show.
Yeah.
That's straight fun.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole. It's different when people come to my. It's me talking to somebody. I can act up. But it's not that kind of.
Barry came on my show and I got in trouble. Because I took something too far. My wife said.
I've been there taking something too far.
Yeah, I took it too far. I was talking about bathrooms and comparing men and women's habits, and it did not go well. And again, I apologize.
So your wife watched she watches all of that?
No. But she caught the clip.
Oh, she caught that one.
The clip went crazy because all the blogs started recycling that clip.
See, that's what happens when you blow up the Randy Wilson podcast. I don't blow up. I don't do anything.
I should have stopped. Casey remembered that. I was like, I had to take it down. I put it on TikTok.
But the thing is, you can get carried away with them. Him, Sharon, you get caught up in the moment, and next thing you know, you're looking back.
Yep, like, damn.
Why did I say yes?
It's Barry's fault. Book, we're gonna have to close.
Good enough, man. Appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you.
Check. You'll hear this podcast everywhere podcasts are played, YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. Tell someone to tell somebody. Hey, if there's someone you think I should have on the show, feel free to make a suggestion and let me know.
I will do that.
And make sure you go over check out Mike on the mic with Mike. That's 106.1 ESPN Radio Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 a.m. Just get up. Get up out of bed, eat breakfast. And you can always go check out his Instagram. You can see various clips throughout the day. So, again, appreciate having you on the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you.